Hello, Internet. The American Gentleman here, back with another story you won't believe. So today's topic is about the supervillain of the entire world. And who could that be? None other than the Chinese Communist Party. Now, I have a lot of very bad feelings about the Chinese Communist Party, about the way that they run their government, but that is not to be confused with Chinese people. We love Chinese people, and we do not promote any type of Asian hate for any reason. Now, with that being said, I'd like to talk about some of the underlying issues that are going on within the Chinese community. One thing China has been under a lot of flack for is being very anti-democratic. It is no secret that the Chinese Communist Party really wants to take Taiwan and really wants to take Hong Kong. Now, the problem with taking Taiwan is Taiwan never belonged to them originally to start with. So how the story unfolds is this. When the Chinese Communist Party was taking power back in the day, they had to chase the original government of China out of China. So they chased that government out of China over to Taiwan. Then Taiwan was on an imperial system and over time became very democratic. Now they have 100 out of 100 on the freedom scale when China has a 0 out of 100 on the freedom scale. So this is two cultures, both Asian, but couldn't be further apart. Now China constantly threatens to take over Taiwan. And not only Taiwan, but they think the whole South China Sea is theirs, and they have even made man-made artificial islands. On top of making man-made islands, they also have this thing to where they put a bunch of boats together and to occupy one territory, and them boats just stay there. Another incident to where a boat stayed still for a very long amount of time is when China and Australia were butting heads about coal, and then one of the Australian ships stayed out in the sea for over a year, waiting for the go-ahead to go into shore. What is the reason the Chinese would not let the Australians dock? It's because what they said about the origins of COVID. Australia seemed to think that the origins of COVID came from a lab, and so does a lot of other people. Matter of fact, nowadays the science points to this. Rand Paul even pressed Dr. Fauci in many hearings, one of which Dr. Fauci said they do not categorically do gain-of-function research at the Wuhan lab of virology. But it did turn out that America does indeed fund the Wuhan lab, and America does indeed fund gain-of-function research in 11 different facilities throughout the world. But Fauci is saying, yes, they do gain-of-function research, and yes, they give money to Wuhan, but they don't give money to Wuhan for gain-of-function research. Currently, China is spreading the narrative that the coronavirus didn't come from Wuhan, that it came from Fort Detrick's in America. Also, when the WHO sent people down to investigate, there's a lot of things that they couldn't do, and people were not happy with the results of the investigation. A lot of people think it's from a new technology of splicing viruses. Dr. Peter Daszak, that runs a North Carolina facility, pioneered this technology. And who did he teach this technology to? The Bat Lady who runs the Wuhan lab. And not only that, whenever the Bat Lady found out about the pandemic, she said she stayed up for 5 nights trying to figure out if this could have came from her lab or not, because she was not sure. Also, China has a no COVID policy to where if one person gets one case, then they'll shut down the whole cities. And what do they do with you? They weld you into your neighborhood. They might weld you into your home, or they might take you away to facilities that are like prisons for you to stay for the next 10 days. On one particular occasion, they put kids in hazmat suits and loaded them up on a school bus and took them to quarantine without their parents' consent. Because when you're in China, who needs parental consent? You're the government. You can do whatever you want to do. And if anyone complains, we'll just put you in a re-education camp, like the Uyghur Muslims. Which brings us to our next point. The CCP doesn't like anybody who's not like them, especially people of the Uyghur minority. So much so that they have literally put them into concentration camps, into slave labor, and a lot of them are being killed, a lot of them are being sexually abused, a lot of them are being tortured. Some of the most heinous things that you can imagine are happening in concentration camps right now in China. And not only that, they had the audacity to pick the person to light the torch for the Olympics to be a Uyghur Muslim, sending the signal that, hey, We know we're forcing people into concentration camps. We know we're killing and sexually abusing people and exploiting people for slave labor, but we don't care. We're going to send one of them right out here to show you how happy they are. It's very, very sick and very disheartening. Even Enes Kanter from the NBA is standing up for the Uyghur minority and for Hong Kong. But so far, this has proven to just get a lot of NBA-related stuff banned from China. And of course, we know China is one of the markets that has the largest number of people on the planet. So a lot of these companies are fighting for the rights to be in China. But to be in China, you have to play by their rules. You cannot speak up against human injustice. Hell, you can't even use the internet to go on the outside world. People have to use a VPN to do so, and to use a VPN is illegal, very illegal. They don't have access to Facebook. They don't have access to YouTube. None of this stuff. They are trapped in the Great Firewall of China, repeating the same mistake as their ancestors with the First Wall of China. And we know what happened with the First Wall of China. They built up walls to protect themselves from everyone else, but no one could save them from their own selves. And it's kind of surprising that this dictatorship that has concentration camps cares so much about the Olympics. Where have I heard this from before? Oh yeah, that's right. Hitler, before the war, hosted the Olympics and cared a great deal about it, and he also had concentration camps as well. So I think we're about to see a repeat of history. The Chinese Communist Party is becoming an increasing threat to our way of life and to democracy by the day. And pretty soon something will have to be done for them to be stopped, because they will not stop. Their Marxist, communist, anti-God philosophy is doing nothing but destroying their country and is going to destroy the world. They took down most of the crosses in China. Christianity is highly frowned upon. And religion in general is highly frowned upon because they feel like it takes away from your worship of Xi Jinping, their fearless leader. And Xi Jinping has set himself up to be dictator for life. Also recently, before the Olympics, Peng Shuai, China's most revered tennis player, accused a former head of the Chinese Communist Party of sexual abuse. Well, ever since then, she's been pretty much disappeared. And whenever we hear from her, she is followed by the state people right next to her. Now she gets no privacy, and I'm sure her life is hell for even making that comment on Weibo, which has been taken down. She had an affair with this married man, and this married man made her stay in the relationship even though she wanted out, because he was a high-level Chinese Communist Party member, and you can't tell them nothing. They don't have rules like you and me. So guys, let me know what you think. I love the Chinese people, but I am becoming increasingly disgusted and increasingly worried with the way that they run their government. Communism is not the way. Communism has killed tens of millions of people, if not hundreds of millions of people. And it looks like there's not going to be any shortage of deaths coming up in the near future. Communism has become one of the worst things to happen to this world. And I wish I could make a lighthearted, funny video like I normally do. But this is a situation that just has to be addressed. And also, did you know between Delta and Omicron, there was two other signs that they were supposed to use. One is NU, and the other is XI. And XI, or Z, is the same way the leader of China spells his name, Xi, XI. So naturally, the coronavirus, which a lot of people are calling the CCP virus, they're very scared to name a variant of it Xi, because the Chinese might think that means their leader and take great offense to it. So what do? We moved on to the next letter, O, Omicron. I just found that fact very interesting. So guys, tell me what you'd like to hear about next. I enjoy making these videos. I love coming and talking to you every day. Now I got a new, faster setup. I can come to you with more videos that are better quality, faster. And I am so excited to do it. Please tell me what you'd like to see, and I will try to get it done. I'd like to develop a fan base, and we're just getting started. And please join us on the journey. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and as always, don't forget to be good on your way to becoming great. And please like and subscribe this video so the CCP doesn't show up at your door and kick it down and drag you all the way back to China.